Hey everyone, it's Jeannie, and today I'm back to share 3 cards that I created as a guest designer for Heffy Doodle. I really adore the Heffy Doodle stamp set that I'm using. It's called Treat Yourself, and I decided to create 3 cards because I had all these watercolor scraps left over, and I wanted to use the images. They are so adorable. The cotton candy one was the one that actually caught my eye, and I think it's so cute. So for all these images that I'm using 3 total. It's the cotton candy, the popsicle stick, and the ice cream cone. I'm stamping them out a bunch of times, more or less 7 times for each of them, and heat embossing them with clear embossing powder because I wanted to do a bit of watercoloring. So anytime I want to do watercoloring, I actually use VersaFine ink and heat emboss it with clear embossing powder because I am not the best watercolorist, and this really helps me kind of cheat. The lines that are raised from the heat embossing kind of keep the colors contained in an area, and it just makes watercoloring for me a lot easier. And I chose to watercolor these images because there is a lot of space and I figured that it'd be easy to do. I set out to create some rainbow colors for all these images. I just wanted something super happy and super fun. I had met Leslie, the owner of Heffy Doodle at Creativation, and she is just bubbly and sunny and so happy and kind. And I really wanted something to kind of reflect her personality in these cards. So I am using Altair inks as my watercolors. I just smush the ink pad directly on my glass mat and I'm picking up the colors. So I use the brown, twiggy brown, to color in the popsicle sticks, the cotton candy cones, and then also the ice cream cones. So I just did it assembly line style, and I do that for all of the colors. So I'm starting off with red, and I'll move down the rainbow line and color up all these images. So I sped up this a lot and cut out some of the images because I didn't want to include everything since it is pretty repetitive. For my watercoloring, though, the more water that you add to these inks, the more watered down they are. And usually I water it down for my first wash of color all over, and I'll go back in for adding layers of color. So these are super easy to use. I by no means watercolor often. I do it when I feel like it, and for some reason I had a bunch of time and I just decided to do it. Usually watercolors takes a lot of patience, but combined with heat embossing these images and these inks being really easy to blend and layer, I found it pretty easy to do, and I kind of want to do it some more, but I'm gonna gradually ease into it. Watercolors are a medium that I just haven't yet tackled. I'm much more comfortable using alcohol markers and even zig markers because you just use it with a water brush or a little bit of water and you can get that same effect. But I've been gradually getting my feet wet with watercoloring, and I really liked how this turned out. I think that you just have to remember not to use too much water and you're able to control it. Here I'm using a pretty small brush. I believe it's a number 2 brush, and it's able to get into the little nooks and crannies, even though there's not that many. I think that the ice cream cone and the popsicle is probably the most detailed that it gets, but the space is enough where I'm able to use a little bit of water and pull out the color. So as you can see for the green cotton candy and the blue, I'm able to add the layers on the right hand side, and I really like how that looks. For Copics, it's so easy to add dimension, right? You just pick a similar dark color and add that in, but for watercolors, you have to really be patient with it and you have to be able to layer colors on top of each other. But I think I'm sort of getting the hang of it, and hopefully I'll do a lot better. My ultimate goal is to get to no line watercoloring, but we'll see how far that goes. So I am creating a blended rainbow background. I put this on top of my mini watercolor media mat. I think that it just helps contain the colors in one place. It keeps my panels in one place. It makes blending a lot cleaner because otherwise it'd be on my glass mat, which is fine too, but at least it's contained. So I'm using all the same colors of the rainbow that I used for the watercoloring, and I'm using a blending tool just to blend everything together. And it doesn't have to be perfect because, as you can see, I'm splattering water all over. These inks are also water reactive, so it kind of has the same ability to pick up color. I will be creating 3 rainbow panels for my 3 different cards. I cut this panel in half, as you can see, and then I decided later on that I'm gonna trim the panels down further. So for that popsicle panel, I'm actually gonna trim it down another half an inch, and then I'm gonna be taking that and cutting it in half, so it's about a quarter of an inch, and placing it on the panel for the cotton candy. So these 3 cards are created with just one blended rainbow panel, and I think that that's really quick and easy to do, especially if you have a lot of small images that you want to use up, or if you just want to focus on these images, which is what I did. I really, really wanted to use that cotton candy. I wanted to use other images as well because I like being able to use all images from a stamp set, and that's what I did here. So for the popsicle panel, I'm putting that rainbow panel down at the bottom of the card. This will be a horizontal card, and I'm matching up all the little popsicles with their corresponding color. I am staggering them so it just has a little bit of interest. I didn't want it to look too perfect. Sometimes when I want it to look too perfect, if there's one that messes up or I glue it down wrong, and then the OCD in me kind of takes over and I'm just not happy with the result. But every time I stagger stuff, it's fine because it looks like it's meant to be. So to finish off this particular card, I am just stamping the sentiment on the rainbow panel at the bottom right, and this one says "You are the sweetest," which I think is so cute. It goes perfectly with the card. For the second card, I'm using this rainbow panel vertically, and I'm using it in reverse. So I'm actually going to put the purple on top, and as you saw, I trimmed this down a quarter of an inch, and I did that because I wanted to add a bit of an accent on the card panel, as you'll see later. So for these cards, the ice cream cones are in rainbow order, but it goes in reverse of the panel that's behind it. So the red matches up with the purple matches up with the red, and I think that that just adds a little fun twist to the card. I really wanted every single one of these ice cream cones on this card panel, so that's what I did. I was sure that they would fit, and even though it looks a little crowded, they fit, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I am using the sentiment "You are the coolest" and putting it at the bottom right hand corner where there's a lot of white space. I just wanted to balance it out a bit, so I decided to stamp it there. I didn't want to do it the middle because it'd be too similar to the other card, and I don't know, it just looked like it was the place for it. So this is where I add a bit of an accent for the card panel. I am putting the washi tape directly on my card base and popping that card panel right on top, and I like how it looks. This washi is something that's super versatile in my collection. I use it anytime I need kind of a pop of color or something to connect the cards. And so Since I'm using black in my last card, I really wanted to use it for the second card, so all three cards are kind of a cohesive set. As you can see, I have a piece of black cardstock. It's an inch and a half, and for the rainbow panels that I had cut, they are a quarter of an inch each, and then I'm placing it on the top and the bottom of that black cardstock panel. So for the bottom one, I'm starting with the red and moving rainbow order to purple at the ends. And at the top one, I am flipping it around so that the purple starts on that edge. And so I'm trimming off all the excess, and I'll be adding the little cotton candy bundles. I was going to group them into threes together on the top corner, and then I will be adding the sentiment in the middle. Since this is a black card panel, I'm going to have to heat emboss. So I always get concerned when I have to heat emboss and my panel's already ready, just in case I mess up, because more times than not, I smush the sentiments down too hard. But I always have a craft pick just to clean up the edges if anything gets messed up, or if embossing powder gets somewhere it shouldn't be. Like, I have that craft pick to help clean it up. I just take some time, but it's totally worth it. So once I have that sentiment stamped out, I will add the cotton candy and decorate the corners. And because they are so voluminous and they look so yummy, uh, they take up the space of the card and fill it up. So these are my three cards. I think that they are so fun and so bright, and I just really, really love them. I hope you do too, and I hope you enjoyed these cards. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.